sewing room, and this room is full of creativity. It's where I sew and quilt. It's where I have recently taken up garment sewing. I do cross stitch, I knit, I crochet, occasionally I paint. It is my creative space. So for me, my studio is more than just quilting, but that is the primary function. And while this space has been really functional and really creative for the last few years, I am craving a change. There are some logistical issues that I am hoping to fix. Mainly, I really want a design wall. And in the current setup of this room, there's not a good space for a design wall, except for this wall behind me might be the best contender. But even that, it's not quite as big as I would like. And I am someone who is very aesthetically oriented. And I can see this wall when I'm sitting on my living room couch. And I don't want to look at a in progress, constantly changing design wall. I want to see a beautiful art display on this wall. I also have a room where it's a spare room and it's also my office because I work from home. I'm thinking about switching those two rooms. And when I first moved into this house 5 years ago, that was actually the layout that I had. Was my studio was in the front of the house, office was in the back. And at the time I had different furniture in both rooms and the layouts just didn't quite work. And so I decided to switch them to the current standing where my studio is in the back, the office is in the front, and it works. But I really want a design wall. That front room is just a little bit bigger, so I'd much rather have that be my studio and have this smaller room serve as the spare room. And I just want to change. So as I'm preparing to switch these two rooms, there are some changes, both furniture, decor-wise, that I'm going to make, but I thought I'd take you along for the journey. My current studio is set up where I have this large wall of bookcases that house all of my fabric and my yarn and scraps and books. It's sort of the main storage point of my studio. I've also got my sewing table set up with my ironing board on top of a rolling cart right next to it, plenty of space to walk all the way around for my cutting mat, and then finally I have some quilt storage along one wall. In the spare room, it's pretty basic right now. I've got a bed and a desk. Not much more to it. Changing these rooms is going to give me more room in my studio, more natural light, better natural light, and most importantly, I'm gonna have space for that design wall. I think it looks really good. I think this looks really good. I think I definitely want a door on one of these. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll style it and see what it looks like. So I've got a little update for you. I've got about half of it loaded. I have already loaded pretty much everything that will go in the cabinets. It's more or less what was there before. This one's still half empty. And eventually there will be a door on this one. It's just that IKEA was out of it. So I've got my fabric loaded. The thing is, I went on a little bit of a shopping spree a few months ago. And right now I don't have enough comic book boards to stack it all up. So I'm gonna go through it. Anything that's a fat quarter I store differently. This is all yardage. I'm gonna go through and pull everything that's a fat quarter, maybe get an estimate of how many more boards I need, order another set. I don't know, start stylizing the top and see what happens. It's probably what I'll do for the rest of the night, so I'll check back in with you tomorrow. So here's the thing. I had every intention of bringing you along the journey of creating my design wall that's partially done behind me. Thing is, I forgot to film it. So I'm gonna run you through what I've done so far so that if you ever wanna make a design wall like mine, you can. And then you'll get some footage at the end of me putting the batting up because that's the one step I haven't done yet. So here's the thing to a design wall. Super simple. You just need batting, or you can use, curtain backing or flannel or anything that has enough grip to it that fabric will stick to it, ideally without pins. So for mine, I'm using White and Warm 100% cotton batting. You don't have to use that exact one, but my walls in this room are white, so I wanted to make sure it was a white batting so it would blend in as much as possible. The other element besides batting is something to stick that batting or fabric or flannel or curtain backing, whatever you're using, something to stick that material to. You can definitely just stick it straight to the wall. You could stick it on plywood, you could stick it on foam core. I decided to go with these big building sheets of polystyrene. So it's just a foam material, 1 inch thick. I bought them in 4 foot by 8 foot panels, and I bought 2 panels. I decided to go with this so that if I had some heavier fabrics or a quilt top, for example, or even a full quilt that I wanted to hang, I could stab pins into it. And it's, you know, thick enough that if I stab a pin into it, it's not going to hurt the wall behind it. The wall is plaster anyway, so even if I tried to pin something into it, it's not going to happen. But this gives me enough functionality with pins and a really good base to stick the batting to. So all I've done so far is purchase the 2 sheets of polystyrene from a hardware store. I cut them down myself using a box cutter, really simple. Just had to cut, you know, the sides off of each of them and then the top bit a little bit, like 10 inches or so off of the full top of one of the panels. What's really nice about these ones is they actually have this like tongue and groove moment so that when you sit the next one on top, it nests really nicely. When I put these up, there is a side that has sort of printing on it and then a plain side. I did put the plain side forward thinking then when I put my batting on, you won't see that printing, it'll be great. I started to put my batting up and realized that for me, because the walls in this room are white and I want it to really blend in, the purple of the polystyrene board showed through a little bit more than I would have liked. So I grabbed some paint and quickly painted a coat of white on the polystyrene. Okay, so to attach the batting, all I'm going to use is this spray adhesive. You can use any one that you want. This was the one that I picked because, I don't know, it was the one that I picked up. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray that on, just like when you are basting a quilt or quilting a quilt and you start in the middle and work your way out to the corners. I'm gonna do the same thing on this board. That way if there's any sort of puckering happening with the batting, I can kind of zhuzh it out to the exteriors and hopefully you don't notice it too much. Oh, also, I just planted a tree outside, which is why I'm a little bit like red and hot and sweaty. So it's what it is. Should I protect the floors with something? Yes. If you didn't know, batting has 2 sides. It's got like a dimple side and a pimple side. So the pimple side will have like little pills on it and stuff. And then the dimple side is the side that actually gets like needle punched. That's the top of it when it's needle punched. I like to, when I'm loading quilts, have the dimples up, pimples down when I'm basting or loading the quilt on the long arm. And I think I'm gonna do the same thing here. I think it's just gonna be a more consistent texture. Like halfway down, and then this on top. Now I need to trim the sides, the top, the bottom, and around the outlet, which I didn't show you yet. But my theory, my goal was if I just trim it like, especially along the wall on this side, I should be able to trim it and then just like tuck it into that crevice. So we'll see if that works. Close enough. So for this final edge, it's the one that you'll actually be able to see as you're in the room. So I want it to be as clean as possible. My method is I'm just going to sort of finger crease it around the edge of the board with my nails. And then when I pop it out, I can just barely see this line where that crease is. And then I'm going to cut, I'm going to call it a 1/4 inch, but it's probably closer to 3/8 along that line. And then I can take the ruler that I used on the opposite side and just tuck that excess in behind it. And then it is this super clean edge that I think will A, hold up, and B, it looks so nice. I forgot that I have this one last piece, and this is the outlet. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just snip in the middle, and then I'm going to kind of create little like, oops, get out of my way. I'm going to create little divots, and I am just estimating. Probably could have gone a little bit longer on that one. Because the goal is to get it so that it'll wrap just under and over these guys. Back there. When I was painting, I did really pay attention to these corners because I knew that they would be showing. But now we can plug back in our extension cord, and eventually this will be my iron. So the design wall is finished. Could not be more happy with it. Right now, I know that it is clean and white, and there's no threads anywhere, and it blends perfectly into the wall. And that's gonna last about 0.5 seconds, because as soon as I start putting fabric up on the wall, little threads are gonna get everywhere. But you know what? That's part of the process. And these stick without any pins. I could certainly put if I wanted to pin all of these up, I could certainly put a pin in all of them, and then they hold. But for right now, this is what it looks like. So I am almost finished switching my studio into this front room. The only step that's left for me to do is to hang up artwork around the room. So I've already got my Happiness is Homemade placard up there on top of the bookshelves. It's a little cut off from where we're currently standing, but from where I sit and sew, I can see it perfectly. And then over on the wall here, you can catch a glimpse of a wall hanging that I did. I think I finished that about a year ago, and I've never been able to hang it up, so I'm really happy that it's finally on display somewhere. There are only 2 spaces left where I need to hang art. One is above the cabinets that I keep all of my supplies in, and I'm sort of condensing what was my old art wall from the other room into this room. So I really had to go through all the pieces and make sure that, the ones that I absolutely love, I have space for, and the ones that I like, but I don't love, they can go somewhere else in my house. The last space is above my shelf where I keep quilts that I've made. And for the past couple years, I've been entering quilts in some local shows and I've won a few ribbons. And I think I'd actually really like to hang those up. I don't know why I haven't yet. So I think I'm going to make some space over there and hang them up. Uh, but right now there's only maybe like 6 or 7. Maybe someday there will be a lot more. So I sort of need to figure out how to fill in the extra space somewhat temporarily. So I'll show you what I'm thinking for those 2 spaces and we'll get them hung. And then there will be a full final room reveal.